you are seeing this screen, I am hoping to assure you here that the live stream will start very soon. So please stay tuned. Hello, everybody. This is Paul Newman. And if you are seeing this screen, I am hoping to assure you here that the live stream will start very soon. So please stay tuned. Hello, everybody. This is Paul Newman. And if you are seeing this screen, I am hoping to assure you here that the live stream will start very soon. So please stay tuned. Hello, everybody. This is Paul Newman. And if you are seeing this screen, I am hoping to assure you here that the live stream will start very soon. So please stay tuned. Hello, everybody. This is Paul Newman. And if you are seeing this screen, hello, everybody. And welcome back to what is another video. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Thank you very much for watching all the streams and the videos. It is very much appreciated. Right, it's about 11:25 a.m. here on the morning of day 2 of the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. It's getting more surreal and more surreal every day, this 2024 Cheltenham Festival, isn't it? You know, what I'm going to do before I start the day 2 preview that Reprieve Media CIC put together with myself and my good friend and colleague, a guy called Steve Allpress. We've got a few things to touch on, really, I think, before the audio even starts. I mean, we've got to take a look, really, the cross-country race today. That has unfortunately been cancelled, or fortunately, depending on what way you look at these things. Me, personally, I thought the race served a fantastic purpose 20 years ago. It gave JP McManus a chance to win a race with Spot the Difference. Paid his bills for a year, let the Irish win a race. But now, well, I don't really think there's a purpose for it. You know, it's just another race for the Irish to win at a lower level than the races they're winning at. I can see it served a purpose when Enda Bolger was milking the race and Nina Carberry raising the profile, wasn't it? But now, the race to me just serves no purpose at all from the festival at all. Unfortunately, today that has been abandoned. The inner part of the track is deemed unraceable, really. And so the race has been cancelled. It will not be rescheduled. So today there is only 6 races instead of 7. Not that people would know that by looking at the Racing Post. You know, I mean, I'll refresh the page again. These people, the Racing Post, the way they've covered Cheltenham Festival in the past 2 days, it's clear to me that these people hate horse racing at the Racing Post. You know, they've not even bothered updating people who are logging onto the race card at 11:27 in the morning that there's no cross-country chase. Not even bothered telling everybody. I think what they have done is they've removed the link to the race. People can't click on the race and open the race like they can the others. But there's no indication at all that the race has been cancelled or anything. Absolutely rotten, these people are. I mean, as long as they've got their... luckily for me, I've got a very good ad blocker, you know. If I didn't, this page would be full of them trying to reach vulnerable people to get them to... I don't know what they're trying to get them to do. They can't have a bet on horse racing after more than 3 weeks because they lose their account if they win. So what's the point, really, of it all? It's all rather futile, the Racing Post at the moment. And also touching on again the level of control in the bookmakers. The Unibet ambassador for the festival, Nicky Henderson, who really has got a dual-purpose job. He is the bookmakers' eyes and ears at the festival, the ambassador, and he is also doubling up as one of the UK's leading horse racing trainers. Well, I don't know. I think his horses are running so unpredictably at the moment that the bookies can't rely on them. You know, people saw how well Lucia ran yesterday, the mare throwing in a career best to finish 3rd in the Grade 1 feature race yesterday, the Champion Hurdle. But for some reason today, all his horses have been told not to run. You know, he's not allowed to run many horses today. John Bon owned by Ireland's biggest gambler. That horse isn't allowed to run today. They just can't run. They just don't know how it's going to run. That is the only thing I can say. There's nothing wrong with the form of the yard. Lucia ran perfectly respectably race yesterday. People look at the other horses like Iberico Lord, Jericho de Repene. I mean, to me, they ran as though they were entitled to run with the damn lines I've seen that them horses had in top class races. What did he expect them to run like that? You know, they weren't well bred enough to run in the race, in my opinion. So Lucia, who to me is in the same boat, ran a magnificent race to finish third in the Grade 1 Champion Hurdle. I think there's going to be more withdrawals later on in the week as well, with horses like Shishkin deemed not to run. I mean, I was fairly confident I was able to predict how well Shishkin was going to run in the Gold Cup. I predicted he was going to win the race. That would have been my prediction on Cheltenham Gold Cup Day, day 4, if the audio takes place. But to me, if these people use these people, if the bookies use these trainers and the trainers can't produce the horses at the time to the levels of satisfaction that the controllers of the sport want, then what can people do? You know, absolute shambles. This year has been in the UK. It goes from low to low. I mean, the sport to me in the UK, national hunt racing, is in the gutter. You know, it sold its soul to the people that are trying to destroy it. And it is very sad to see, in my view. Right, I will play out the content yesterday that we played out on Reprieve Media CIC yesterday, like I will do shortly. It's about 34 minutes long today. It's just my friend and co-host Steve Allpress and myself previewing day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival, but the content was pre-recorded. You'll hear me give John Bon a great chance. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That hopefully, what I can do is I can monitor the chat, and I will put some chats up so people who are watching will know what is happening that is not being talked about in the broadcast. Basically, stuff that's happened after we've recorded. It is what it is. One of the perils of doing pre-recorded radio. But we're going to plod on. I think the show is still very good. There's still some very fantastic previews in there by Steve. It's always fantastic to give other people a voice. And what's more, there are other opportunities for people to do this as well at my organisation, Reprieve Media CIC, which I am the director of. It's got its own website. It's registered at Company's House. It promotes fundraisers, all sorts of things, you know. The racing side of it, though, is repcicracing2020.great/site.net. The first site, Double Handful, was unfortunately hacked by the Chinese. But this site sort of filled up around November 2020, around COVID time. There was a tracking update where I was saying that it wasn't going to happen as much due to the COVID pandemic. But we'll come back now on the YouTube channels, my own personal YouTube channel, this one, with all the horses on. But all the Reprieve Media CIC Double Handful, all the classic trials that we do in America, all the horse racing that we've done over the last 5, 6 or 7 years, will always go out first on the Reprieve Media CIC YouTube channel rather than here. So follow that one as well, you know, in case you miss anything. But this, because it's me giving my own voice in conjunction with Steve, and a lot of the horses that I will talk about are on my own channel. I think I can get away with playing this little bit of a cross-contamination, I'll call it, the Reprieve Media CIC content leaking out onto my own channel. Normally I do like to keep the two entirely separate to two entirely separate audiences. But it just seems to be the way that it's worked out at the moment. repcicracing2020.great/site.net is the most latest Reprieve Media CIC website. Also, other websites, Classic Watch, they're just really my own flat projects, really personal. Right, but for now, then, I think it's going to be time now. We've got the program is about 34 minutes long, so it should finish just after around midday, which will give everybody an option to get on with the rest of their lives then in the usual fashion. But before I give everybody an option to do that, very rude of me, I think, not to play out this superb, independently produced original content. This is Reprieve Media CIC Handful. Am I biased? I don't know. Of course I am. It's my own organisation. I'm not going to say the content is rubbish, but the content is not rubbish. You know, it is. It's superb, and it's been superb for a lot of times. You know, with this is probably the 6th or 7th Cheltenham Festival that Steve and myself have covered. We've had some fantastic times along the way. We've also come back for the odd special. Myself and Monica McCarthy have done several USA Kentucky Derby trials, and there's classics out there. And we've also interviewed many a fundraiser, many an organisation, and all that can be found on the Reprieve Media CIC YouTube channel and the Reprieve Media CIC website, which is reprievemediacic.epeasy.com at the moment. The new site is essentialreading.greatsite.co.uk. Now, essentialreading.great/site.com. I think it's the same as great/site.net. Sorry, essentialreading.great/site.net is all the articles that we've been doing since we were incorporated in 2019. Why not get in touch and see if we can help you if you're doing a fundraiser or you want to bang on about anything? Then I'm your man, really. I can facilitate that. So I have the power. Right. For now, then, we're going to take this preview here, Cheltenham 2024, Day 2, hosted by myself and Steve Allpress. It will start with Steve's preview of the opening race of the day, the Grade 1 Gallagher Novices Hurdle. But for now, sit back. I'll turn my camera off and I'll sit back and enjoy listening to this as well. For now, take care, everybody. I'll be back at the end to wrap up and look after yourselves. Have a good day, everybody. Goodbye for now.
Hi, Paul. Great to be back for Day 2 of the Cheltenham Festival preview. Once again, I'm looking to get straight onto the front foot here. Obviously, it's cracking days racing. For me, this is probably in terms of quality, overall quality, this is probably the best day of the week. I do feel that Willie Mullins has got a lot of his real strong contenders running today, and I'm hoping they run big races, obviously. We'll obviously go through those shortly, but more than anything, I'm looking forward to the Queen Mother Champion Chase. We've seen some cracking renewals over the years, and I think this one could be up there with the best of them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Day 2, and let's see how we get on. Thank you. So we'll kick off with formerly known as the Ballymore Novices Hurdle, now changed to the Gallagher Novices Hurdle, Grade 1, over 2.5 miles. Where else do we start other than the Willie Mullins exciting novice hurdler, Ballyburn? Ballyburn is a horse that first caught the eye of mine at Punchestown towards the back end of last year, really. He won on his racecourse debut, and then he went to the Punchestown Festival after that, where he backed up that victory, and then obviously he's then finished his season, and obviously there's a lot of hype and talk around him going into this new season. He kicked off his hurdling campaign this season at Fairyhouse, where he met the Gordon Elliott Firefox, who already had a run in a National Ump Flat race. Firefox beat him that day, but Ballyburn, although he was defeated, I thought he ran with a lot of credit. Both horses pulled a long way clear, and I felt on that day, even though he'd lost the battle, he hadn't necessarily lost the war. And I did feel on that occasion that stepping up to 2.5 miles later in the season would see him to his most effective. And obviously that's where they've aimed to go this time. There was talk about him going in the Supreme on Tuesday, but I think they've made the right decision. There's a lot of talk about, could he have won the Supreme if he went that way? Possibly, but I do feel they've gone for the right race. He's got plenty of stamina. He is a little bit of a free-going horse, but I think he is a little bit more relaxed now than he was last season, and I feel the 2.5 mile trip's perfect for him. So yeah, Ballyburn, obviously he's ridden by Paul Townend. I think deep down they think hugely of this horse, and I think not just for the Ballymore, But I think in years to come, you're going to hear a lot more of this horse. I really do believe that Ballyburn is the real deal. And there are a couple of promising horses in the Ballymore against him, but I'd be very surprised if they could turn over Ballyburn. For me, he's one of the most exciting horses of the week. I got on him before the Punchestown Festival last year for the Ballymore. I thought I'd take the chance with him. He was as big as 16 and 20 to 1. I snapped up those prices and I just kept taking them. And obviously you've always got that little bit of question mark, what route would they go? But to my eye, he was always going to be a Ballymore horse. You know, he could have went the Supreme, but I do think they've gone the right way. So Ballyburn is my selection for the Gallagher Novices Hurdle now. But I'll just go through a couple of the other horses, because it's not a one-horse race. There are some good horses in the lineup against him, albeit I fancy Ballyburn. Il Atlantique, his stable companion, he's a solid horse in his own right. He won his seasonal reappearance this year. Quite impressive. He's another one that's always looked like he might be better when stepped up in trip. He's a horse that, for me, he lacks that like turn of foot, that real sharp turn of foot. So I do think maybe 2.5 miles is the race for him. There's been a lot of talk about, is he a bit of a softie when he gets into a battle? Does he find much off the bridle? I must admit, before the talk come out about that, last season I had that little niggling doubt in my mind about that, and I didn't really say much about it at the time, but I did have that little feeling when he raced against I think it was Corbett's Cross. I felt that day he should have got the job done and he didn't. And then this season again, I saw it again when he got beat by a stable companion, reading Tommy wrong. I just felt that day he should have put him away. But one thing he did do that day, I was impressed the way he travelled and jumped. He did look a smart horse. Maybe he just did a lot of the donkey work and got nabbed. So maybe he is. It's worth giving him the benefit of the doubt one more time. But there is that little doubt in my mind. But he is. It's not just that. He's up against a real good horse in Ballyburn, and I do feel that he's going to come off second best, certainly against him anyway. Of the others, you've got Predator's Gold, good horse, ran over 2 miles first time this season, stayed on very strongly, looked like he needed a little bit further. Then he went up to 2 miles 7 at DRF, where to me he didn't quite get the trip. So I just feel like coming down a couple of furlongs, the Ballymore will certainly suit him in terms of distance. It's just whether he just lacks that little bit of class of his two stable companions, but he is a worthy contender nevertheless. So yeah, those are the three main protagonists, I'd say. It's a pretty small lineup once again in the Ballymore, but that's tend to be the case over the last few years. You get a lot of short price hot pots running in this race, and a lot of the horses tend to swerve them. But yeah, I think I'll leave it with there for the Gallagher Novices Hurdle. Ballyburn is my selection for the race and my nap of the Cheltenham Festival. Ballyburn will not be beat, in my opinion, and hopefully will come back on Thursday a happy man. So yeah, that's wrapped up the Ballymore for me, or the Gallagher, shall I say, for me. Ballyburn.
Hello, everybody. And can I just say thank you very much to Steve Allpress there for that superb preview of the first race on day 2 of the 2024 Cheltenham Festival, the Gallagher Novices Hurdle. What do I think of the race? Well, I think it's a fairly good contest at the top of the market. I seem to have identified the top 2 in the market, both Ballyburn and Il Atlantique. So to me, obviously, I will be quite disappointed if either of those 2 don't win the race. Ballyburn is a fascinatingly bred horse. You saw how well he travelled before in the other races. Yes, Firefox beat him, but we've seen earlier today, it's just before Champion Hurdle time today, here on Tuesday, Firefox ran a solid third race in the Supreme Novices Hurdle today, and that was Ballyburn has formed with that. And, and so too does Il Atlantique, come to think of it, in bumpers. But to me, I thought he saw Ballyburn, the class that he showed in his last form with the Supreme Novices Hurdle winner, I think also in behind Ballyburn as well. It's going to be quite hard, I think, looking at the form, for anything to stop Ballyburn in this race. The form already seems to be working out quite well. Yeah, he beat Slade Steele, who won the Supreme today by 7 lengths on February 2024. In Atlantic, though, the horse owned by the UK's biggest gambler, Tony Bloom, who also owns Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club. I like the horse, good strong traveller in his own right. You know, I do like the horse. He's got a fascinating pedigree as well to me. He's quite closely related to a French national hunt stallion I remember going round back in the day called Sleeping Car. So I had a good few chases he did when I was growing up. I remember watching him go round. So to me, I think purely down to connections, I've stuck with Il Atlantique. I've identified him since he's been running in national hunt races. Is he one for chases, though, Il Atlantique? I think he'll have to be some horse today to beat Ballyburn without any shadow of a doubt. So having a quick look through the others, there's not really that many that I do like, really, in there. Handstands, the English horse, I think has plenty to find on the figures. I think really it's the sort of the race where I will be quite disappointed if one of my two doesn't win the race, Ballyburn or Il Atlantique, and that's why they're first and second favourite, because I do think they are the best two horses in the race, and I think that could possibly be clear for a lot of people to see. If they look at the race, Predator's Gold, I suppose, would have to have some sort of a squeak on the form. It's by a stallion I like, Masked Marvel. That's related to Waldgeist and all them. The Waldlecker line. Good stallion, but I couldn't find much on the dam side, really, that encouraged me on that one. Or else he'd be on my list. But to me, it's between Ballyburn and Il Atlantique. I'm going to take a quick look now before I hand back over to Steve for his preview of the Brown Advisory Novices Chase. The second race on the card. To me, I don't think this is the strongest renewal of the race, necessarily. I think the favourite will be quite hard to beat. And you've got Monty's Star, who's quite a well-bred horse in there as well, as related to Mona Lee, who used to go round quite well. I think he's in the cross-country chase on the same day. But I've got Stay Away Faye on the maybe list here in this race, the 2:10. Stay Away Faye was on the maybe list this time last year when he won the Albert Bartlett on the fourth day of the festival at rather larger odds than what he's going round tomorrow. He's won his two novice chases, and then really his third place in the Grade 2 against non-novice horses arguably is a drop down in class into this race, even though this race is a Grade 1 race. It could be argued that this is a drop down in class for Stay Away Faye back into novice company. And I just think he might have a good chance in this race. In what, to be fair, looks quite a tricky race. You know, there might only be 6 runners in the race, but I do think it will take some winning. Obviously, the favourite, Factor Files, had his form boosted today. He looks well on top of Gaelic Warrior last time out, and Gaelic Warrior has just come out and won the Arkle. So I'm sure that Factor Fire will be a fearsome proposition on the day. But for me, I'm going to chance Stay Away Faye in the Brown Advisory. And now it's back to Steve Allpress for his look at the Brown Advisory Novice Chase, the second race of day 2. Steve, it's over to you.
Right, now on to the Brown Advisory Novices Chase, a Grade 1 over 3 miles. Again, a very small lineup here, but a high-class one, or certainly potentially a high-class one anyway. I'll start off with the warm order favourite for the race. This is a horse that I wasn't keen on last year as a bumper horse, although he did prove himself to be a pretty good one. Factor File, owned by JP McManus, trained by Willie Mullins. Factor File was runner-up on his novice chase debut this season, behind another horse that's in today's race, American Mike. That day, Factor File looked a little bit like in need of the run to me, a lot like a lot of Willie Mullins' horses around that time. They were needing their first run, and I just felt on that occasion Factor File was just lacking that match sharpness. And obviously American Mike, a very good horse in his own right. He's a bit hit and miss, but he is a good horse in his own right, and obviously he took good advantage of that on that occasion. But since then, Factor File, he ran over Christmas at Leopardstown, very impressive, beating Zanahir, a former fairly highly rated juvenile hurdler, and obviously mixed it with some of the best in the staying hurdle division. He dispatched him pretty well, looked very effortless that day, jumped well, travelled well, and it looked to me, just to the eye, that the further he went, the better. He then went to DRF and took on his stable companion, not Galloping de Champs, sorry. He took on Gaelic Warrior. Obviously, it was a match race, just the two of them in the race on that occasion. Gaelic Warrior obviously wasn't right on that occasion, but Factor File did no more than he could do. Put up a very good time, travelled well, and then he just put Gaelic Warrior away once that stable companion looked to be in trouble, 4-5 out. Obviously, going into a race like the Brown Advisory, you'd probably want him to be a little bit more battle hardened. Both of his last two runs seem to have been very easy work for him. He hasn't really had to get into a battle, but he can only do what he can do. You can only beat what's put in front of him, and I don't think it'll be an issue myself. A few question marks about will he stay the trip. For me, he's been running over 2.5, but to me he's been running on strongly at the finish. I think Factor File will get the trip no problem. I really like the horse. I think it was quite a positive thing that Willie Mullins went straight from bumpers straight over into novice chases. I think that speaks volumes myself. Horses that tend to do that, they obviously clearly know that they're going to be smart novice chasers, and I certainly feel he's one of them. I think he's a worthy favourite. I think he'll take a lot of beating in this race. I'll mention a couple of the other ones because it's not a one-horse race. There are, as I said, there's a lot of quality in the race. You've got Stay Away Faye for Paul Nicholls and Harry Cobden. He won last year's Albert Bartlett Novices Hurdle over 3 miles. He's a horse that looked like it took time to get hang of the game. Looked very green last season. Even in Cheltenham at the festival, he still looked green. But I think since going chasing, that's the making of him. He won at Exeter, stayed on strongly first time out this season. Then he went and beat Giovinco. Again, pretty good run on that occasion. Had to do a lot of the donkey work. A loose horse interfered with him, but he still got the job done. Last time went to Cheltenham, went into open company. He was beaten, but it was a good effort, and I think they left a lot of work on him. I think he's going to be a big player in this race. He's a horse I can see staying on strongly at the finish when others have cried enough. So that's Stay Away Faye. Of the others, Monty Star, Henry de Bromhead, another horse. Didn't achieve a great deal over in the novice hurdling division, but has been well regarded. I think he's half brother to Mona Lee, who's been a fair horse in his time, and we've seen a good few horses in these colours over the years. Monty Star jumps well. I think he'll stay the distance well, and I think he's just a solid yardstick. He'll be thereabouts as well, I'm sure, if he puts his best foot forward. Of the others, American Mike, I think I mentioned earlier that he's a bit hit and miss. He was second in the champion pumper to Vassal Vega, then went novice hurdling. Looked like he had the world at his feet, but it just seemed to go a little bit wrong for him. He just wasn't right for most of his novice hurdle campaign, and I just felt like maybe his jumping let him down a little bit. But since going novice chasing, I don't think his jumping's been too bad, to be honest. I think he's jumped pretty well. he's definitely got that touch of class about him. I wasn't quite sure if maybe the Turners would suit him a bit more than the Brown Advisory. He did win over the distance last time, but I just maybe feel that he's maybe a 2.5 miler, but I could be wrong. He obviously was supplemented for this race, so they must feel that this race was more suitable for him. But yeah, I'm not sure about him, but write him off at your peril, because he is a classy animal. Giovinco in here, he's obviously run some good races in defeat, but I just feel he lacks a little bit of class to beat some of these others. And I think I'll leave it with there really for the Brown Advisory. I'm going to go with Factifile, but I do not feel it's a one-horse race. I do feel like these other horses are big players, but Factifile is definitely my selection. I've been with him since the beginning of the season, and I do feel that he's definitely the one to beat. Hopefully he can put his best foot forward. He's an improving horse, and he could be anything by the end of this season. He could go into next season as like a worthy Gold Cup contender. So we'll see how this pans out first before we start talking Gold Cups. But Factifile, there's a lot of talk around him, and I think he's a very good horse. Obviously he's not had much experience in terms of a battle, but as I said before, you just have to face what you face on the day, and that's it. So yeah, Factifile, I'll leave it there. He's my selection for the Brown Advisory.
Fantastic. Thank you very much to Steve Allpress there for the preview of race 2, the Brown Advisory Novice Chase. We're going to take a move forward now to the feature race of the day, the Queen Mother Champion Chase, the blue ribboned event for 2-mile chasers in open company. And this year, I think we've got a fascinating contest, really. John Bon, my old mate John Bon, the brother to Douvan. I think, though, it's fair to say now that John Bon really isn't, at the moment, hitting the heights that his brother Douvan did. But John Bon himself is a solid horse, Supreme Novices Hurdle runner-up last year as well at the festival in the Arkle. We saw today what happened to a horse with 2 festival runner-ups, Gaelic Warrior, in this year's Arkle. I mean, is tomorrow John Bon's day? Time will tell. It's a very, very tough race, it's fair to say, with El Fabiolo in there, who, ever since John Bon just edged him in a novice Grade 1 hurdle at Aintree a few years back, seems to have the number of my old mate John Bon. This year even more so, because El Fabiolo has been faultless really, in his 2 starts, while John Bon, to be fair, hasn't really scaled the heights that I think he's capable of this season. He was very sluggish on his last start, it's fair to say, and I do think that if he runs like that tomorrow, then I think El Fabiolo will absolutely batter John Bon. You've also got to mention Edwardstone as well, the Alan King horse. That was also a former Arkle winner. And to be fair to the horse, the change of tactics they adopted on the last start seemed to play into the horse's favour, seemed to revitalise the horse. The horse was starting to look quite exposed at the highest level, in my opinion, before that race. And to be fair, the horse looked like he relished the change of tactics. And I will be very disappointed if Connections don't at least try and adopt the same tactics tomorrow and try and serve it up to John Bon and El Fabiolo. I really do think that that would be the best way for the Alan King horse to be ridden. Of the rest, my old mate Captain Guinness is in there. I mean, he is what he is. A few of these are, I think, Alexia Denuts, for a 10-year-old former Tolworth winner, is arguably in the form of his life over fences this year, stringing together a few victories. Gentleman Demi, I don't think really will be in there. I don't know. Very difficult to make a case for him. And also Funamboli Savoli, I don't think there's much of a case for as well. To me, though, this is the day really where, if John Bon is going to prove to be not just a horse that wins at odds on every time he runs and every time he's a fair price, he lets people down. This is the day really where John Bon could strike. He's got a tough race, obviously, with El Fabiolo and Edwardstone. But I always stick to mine. I'll be having a small go on John Bon in this race and hoping for the best, it's fair to say. Right, I'm going to hand over to Steve Allpress now for his preview of the feature race of the day, the Champion Chase. Can I just take this opportunity to say thank you very much to Steve Allpress for finding the time to take out these previews. He's currently on course at the Cheltenham Festival. He's just watched State Man win the Champion Hurdle on day one. So, Steve, over to you by some miracle of science for your preview of the Queen Mother Champion Chase, the feature race of day two.
So then I'll go on to the feature race on day two, the Betway Queen Mother Champion Chase, a grade 1 over 2 miles. This for me is arguably the clash or the race of the meeting. Obviously, El Fabiolo, last year's Arkle winner, John Bon, runner-up in a Supreme Novices Hurdle, and also runner-up in last year's Arkle. And then we've got Edwardstone for Alan King, who was very impressive last time and has now thrown his hat into the ring also. I'll start with my fancy El Fabiolo. Very, very good horse, as we all know. He didn't have any blemish on his record last season in his novice chase campaign. Obviously went to Cheltenham Festival where he beat John Bon. Didn't jump fluently that day, but was still well on top at the line. And I think this season, going on his 2 runs this season, first at Cork and then again at Leopardstown, I think it's a pretty similar scenario. His jumping's not been the smoothest, but he's been well on top at the business end of the race when it matters. Last time at DRF, he beat his stable companions. Obviously, Dino Blue was in there, who's a warm water favourite for the Mare's Chase on Friday. She was getting a fair bit of weight off him, and so if there was any chink in his armour, I think she would have shown it. But again, once again, El Fabiolo does what he does, and he gets over those fences, and he's a strong finisher, and I feel that it's going to take a good one to lower his colours again here. John Bon, he's a horse that we've seen a bit of a mix from him. When he's good, he's very good, but then there is the odd blip in him, as we saw last time out at Cheltenham, where his jumping wasn't very smooth at all, and it was very costly for him. However, I don't think we'll see John Bon jump that badly again. I think that might have just been the one-off. He does tend to make the odd error here and there, but I think with a positive ride, I think you'll see a lot better John Bon this time round. It's going to be fascinating how the race is ridden in terms of tactics. Will Edwardstone hair off like he did last time out, or will we sit him behind and show some of his old tactics, just held up and looking to pick up pieces? It'll be interesting to see how the race is run, to be honest, but I think of the 3, John Bon's the one that will probably be sitting back, and not John Bon, El Fabiolo will be the one that's sitting back most of all, and I think John Bon's going to be ridden pretty positively. It's an intriguing race, it really is. I'm going to stick with El Fabiolo. He looks to be a champion. He looked a potential champion last year in everything he did. He's still a very young horse, and there's even improvement still to come from him. It's not going to be easy. If John Bon or Edwardstone put up their best performances, they will serve it up to him. But I just think El Fabiolo, I think he's a very strong horse. I think he doesn't really let you down. He produces when it matters, and I think it'll take a wise man to bet against him here again. I do love John Bon. I've been a big fan of him over the last couple of seasons, but I just tend to have this feeling that he's one of these horses that's just going to come off second best when it comes to the crunch. But hopefully, maybe he will have his day in the sun. But for me, I'm going to go for El Fabiolo here. It's going to be a cracking race. I certainly would say don't blink, you'll miss it. It's going to be a tremendous spectacle, and I look forward to this one, I really do. But yep, I'm going to stick with El Fabiolo, Willie Mullins and Paul Townend.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much for your preview of the Champion Chase. And yeah, I can see why you have certainly sided with El Fabiolo in this instance over John Bon. But it will be a fascinating contest, I am sure. Right, fairly quiet day for Steve and myself, really. The second day it's panned out. There's obviously a few handicaps. There is also the cross-country chase. So I'm going to touch on a bit of any other business for myself on the second day, and then I will hand back over to Steve, who will give us his selections. Excuse me. Right, the only horse I've really got any interest in on the second day, apart from the ones I've already talked about, is in the Champion Bumper, the last race at 5:30. I've actually looked at a few bumper horses this year. I think I've got some nice ones ready in the pipeline. But the only one that has managed to turn up this year is trained by Willie Mullins. It's owned by Mrs. Audrey Turley, the same woman who owns the Cheltenham Gold Cup favourite, Galopin de Champ, and the horse is called Argento Boy. I don't think Argento Boy did anything wrong on his debut over National Huntsville. He won by 7 lengths. It's the pedigree of the horse I like, really. It's very well bred on the dam side. The horse is actually related to a horse that's already won the Champion Bumper before, in the green and gold of Andrea and Graham Wiley, trained by Willie Mullins, called Briar Hill. Won the race a few years back. And is also related to another horse that ran in the green and gold as well, Boston Bob, who I think, as Briar Hill was a graded winner over both hurdles and fences as well. But I'm hoping that Argento Boy can do himself justice tomorrow, I must admit. I'm looking forward to watching him go round, and I'm hoping he can do well. But I do think either way, he'll make a good novice hurdler next season, and maybe even a novice chaser further down the line. I mean, this race for me really is basically the start of the process. There's obviously some other very nice horses in here that I've not looked at. So I will exercise caution, obviously, when looking at Argento Boy tomorrow. And maybe if some others beat him, I'll take a look at them and find out that they're better prospects than Argento Boy. That's what all these races are about. Hopefully, they will all make decent novice hurdlers this time next season. But to me, I've identified Argento Boy as one of my horses. The horse has turned up, so I will obviously chance it on the day in the 5:30. Right, that's me done for the day now on day 2. I will be back in a second with my selections, but I will hand over quickly to Steve Allpress now for his selections on day 2 of the 2024 Cheltenham Festival. Steve, can I just take this opportunity to say thank you very much for finding the time to take these previews, put them together and that. It's very much appreciated, as it is every year. So, Steve, for your selections on day 2, it's over to you, sir.
So then, day 2, just the three races I'm covering on day 2. I'm going to now finish off with my selections for the day. My nap selection, as mentioned earlier in the piece, is Ballyburn in the Gallagher Novices Hurdle. Ballyburn's my nap selection. I'm very confident and I'm really hopeful we can get the job done here. My next best selection is going to be in the Champion Chase, and we're going to go with El Fabiolo once again for Willie Mullins and Paul Townend. I think they're going to have a really good day, Willie Mullins, on day 2 of the festival. I think he's got a lot of his stronger horses running, and I feel that he's going to have several winners on day 2. So those are my selections anyway for day 2. I look forward to speaking again tomorrow.
Fantastic, Steve. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this preview and for giving your selections. It's very much appreciated. I'll run through them again in the usual fashion after I've just rounded up what horses I've got an interest in on day 2. In the 1:30, the first race, I will be probably chancing Il Atlantique. Ballyburn to me is way too short on the day, but I am looking forward to watching him go round with a view to the future. He obviously does look a fantastic prospect And as I said earlier, I will be disappointed if one of the two I've identified can't win the first race tomorrow. The 2:10, the Brown Advisory, one of my maybe horses is going round. Stay away, Faye. So I will probably chance that one. 3:30, the feature race of the day, the Queen Mother Champion Chase. I will chance John Bon and hope for the best against El Fabiolo. And in the 5:30, I will chance Argento Boy in the Champion Bumper. Looks an interesting day, more than a good day tomorrow, I would say. Quick recap of Steve's selections. His nap of the day, rather unsurprisingly, is Ballyburn in the 1:30 at Cheltenham. Could be a future superstar of National Hunt Racing. And Steve's second best tomorrow is also a very strong selection. El Fabiolo in the 3:30, the Champion Chase. It's very safe to say that Mr. Allpress is getting the heavy artillery out tomorrow. Right, that's all we've got for day 2 tomorrow. Plenty of handicaps and the cross-country chase tomorrow. But we think, I do definitely think, as Steve does also, that there is some fascinating racing tomorrow. But for now, I will say goodbye. Looking forward to day 2. Good luck, everybody. I hope you all have a fantastic day. I hope all the horses and everybody's connections come back safe and sound. Good luck to everybody. Have a fantastic day. On behalf of Steve Allpress, can I say thank you very much for listening, everybody. Take care. I've been Paul Newman, and goodbye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the stream. Can I just say, while I'm sat here live, massive thanks to Steve Allpress for finding the time to do these live streams, with the audio for the streams. Very much appreciated, as it has been every year. Right, it's nearly coming up to 12:15 here. We might as well knock this stream on the head. We've played the preview. Just a quick recap for everybody in case they don't know before we end. The cross-country chase today, which was due to go off at 4:10, that race has actually been cancelled. There's only 6 races today instead of 7. The race will not be rescheduled across the meeting, so no cross-country chase this year. Nicky Henderson's horses are mainly not running. There's rumours that Shishkin, I think, is definitely not going to run in the Gold Cup. John Bon is also a non-runner today in the Champion Chase also. So that's it, really. A fascinating day 2 in prospect, it's fair to say. Can I just say good luck to everybody? Thank you very much for listening. I hope everybody comes back safe and sound. Horses and jockeys and connections have a fantastic day. We hope to be back in the same fashion over the second half of the festival. Day 3 tomorrow and day 4 on Friday for the Gold Cup. But for now, on behalf of Steve Allpress, can I just say thank you very much. I've been Paul Newman, and take care, everybody, and look after yourselves. Goodbye.